Hey, what's up everyone? My name is King Z and welcome to the KingZee's Empire World Tour for Season 1. With 1.18 right around the corner, we've decided to start the KingZee's Empire in a brand new 1.18 world to take advantage of all the new generation and to continue building an amazing empire in a new world for Season 2. But before we head to Season 2, I thought you guys might like to see what we've done in this world. So if you're brand new here, you can have a little bit of an expectation of what's to come in Season 2. The first thing I want to say is that we are using a custom texture pack. It's mainly a Bdubs texture pack from back in 2012. Mixed with a lot of Jermzy Boy, a little bit of Fwip, and a little bit of Pixel Brew. I'll make sure to leave links in the description for every YouTuber I mention. There'll be a link to the details of the custom texture pack, but because they are not my textures, I will not have a texture pack for you guys to download, but there will be all the information you need to make it on your own if you'd like to do that. So a few things I want to mention before we start off this world tour. This world was originally a completely survival world, but because of the world tour, I'm actually in creative mode. As you can see, I can fly around just to make it easier to move around for you guys and show you the world a little bit better. We have a few data packs, anti-enderman grief, and then we also have mob heads is the only two data packs that we have in this world, and a little bit of history about this world. We started off in 1.13 before we had the replay mod, before we even ever used shaders, and before I got into redstone. This was actually the first world that I spent more than a week in, and this series is actually the series that launched my channel. So for any of you that have been around since episode 1, I really do appreciate it. And if you guys are new joining in, then join me for the ride. There's plenty more content to come and a whole lot more building to do. All right, so this right here is King's Valley. This was the area that we chose to settle down in for our starting area. It looks a whole lot different from when we started. These hills in the background were not here. There was an entire dark oak forest back here and around here that we cleared out. And these hills were not here either. As you can tell, we've done a lot of terraforming, a lot of custom terrain, and just a whole lot of building in this area. Another thing to mention about these areas, these first two in particular, we spent 10 episodes in both these areas. So KingZee's Valley, we spent the first 10 episodes in, and then like Chaos Castle, we spent episodes 11 through 20 building the castle. And then we moved on to the Desert Quarry, where we spent about 6 episodes before the series ended due to the fact that we were starting a new 1.18 world. So this right here is where it all began. We had the beginnings of a nice little cave here that I just dug out a little bit more, and we turned it into our mine area. We didn't do a whole lot to the actual drop down of the mine, but we did do a little bit of terraforming on the cliffside to make it look pretty nice. And right here where this pillar's at and this rock is at is actually where we had our first little starter hut where we were gathering materials for our starter house in episode 1. We can head down to the mines real quick. I can show you just what we've done down there, but your basic mines. You can see I was doing a little bit of decoration down here, but not a whole lot. It's mainly just used for all the stone in the world that we've been building with. Now there are quite a few mine shafts and caves in this area that we've explored in depth, which we'll talk about later. But let's head back up top and take a look at our starter house. So here is our starter house. This was the very first build in the world. I still really like this build. It's actually pretty cool to come back here and see what my building style was like when we first started off. Like I said, this was the series that started my channel, but this is also the series where I decided to take building a little bit more serious. I wanted to get into building. I wanted to be a better builder, and this is the series where we tried to learn, where we tried to grow as builders. Hopefully we can do a lot more of that in season 2. We've done a lot of decorating out here. As you can see, the pathways are a lot different from other people's pathways. I think not a lot of people use a whole lot of wood and brick in their path, but because of our texture pack, we're able to do that and still make it look kind of nice. These retaining walls and these terraces and little farmlands out here weren't here when we originally built this house, but I do believe we got this up in episode 1 or 2. And like I said, I really do still like this house. There's not a whole lot going on the inside, which is kind of a running theme in this world. We don't really work on interiors, which I do plan to work on a lot of the interiors in season 2. But yeah, you can see we just had basic storage, staircases, a few tables with some pots, some basic furnaces in here that we don't really use anymore. We head upstairs here. Again, not a whole lot going on, but plenty of room for extra storage. I do believe I had a lot of extra storage in here before we actually developed a storage room. We have a nice little balcony out here where we can come out and see the farm, see the land. Pretty cool. And then up the ladder here is actually the sleeping quarters where we got a decent view of some of the surrounding areas. I'll let you guys explore the chests and all that stuff in the world download. And I probably won't show a whole lot of the interiors just because a lot of them aren't done, but I will show the houses and the interiors that I think you guys might like. So after the mines and after the starter house, the next thing we worked on in this area was our storage room. So our storage room is down here near this nice little pond that we built, I believe around the same time. But if we head in here, you can see we have a ton of torches around here. We never really did any hidden lighting. That's one thing I do regret not doing. But we have tons of torches for these little chandeliers that I made out of wood because like I said, when we started off this world, it was 1.13 and we did not have lanterns just yet. And I believe believe we headed out of this area before we got the lanterns, or right before we got the lanterns. But it's just your basic storage room, storage area. Still got plenty of materials in here for building and crafting and things like that. We had our nice little enchantment area over here, and about the only thing automated in this area is this row of chests right here. Actually led to the AFK Fisher. We have loads of things from the AFK Fisher back in the day, and that's where we kind of stored everything for that. The next thing we worked on was the pond. I'll give you guys a good look at that. Then we moved on to this walkway here and up to the AFK Fisher. The AFK Fisher isn't anything special, just wanted to tie it in with the area. So I made it look kind of similar to our starting house and put it up on the hill here with this nice little walkway going up here. And this was actually the start of our terraforming projects. So I started terraforming a way up here, little rocks and things like that, some foliage. And this is where we got our first custom trees. I believe all the trees right in here, including some of the trees by the pond, are actually some custom trees that we first worked on. And I think they came out pretty great. The very next thing we worked on over here was actually this little to-do list. I actually got this idea from Whitefire, who I play on the AfterLife server with, along with a bunch of other awesome content creators. So if you guys want to check them out, their links will be down in the description as well. And this was just to keep track of some of the stuff that I wanted to do, some of the stuff that we did. And I think a lot of this stuff we got in here. We got the name of the area, XP farms, windmill, villager breeder, which we did end up building, iron farms and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Definitely want to add some of these in the new world just to keep us on task. After the AFK Fisher, we worked on building up the hillside here. And once we got it to look pretty decent, I went ahead and started working on some horse stalls. So we got a few horse stalls here, nice little horse stall there, little horse stall here, and then we have a little storage shed for the hay and wheat and all that stuff, seeds and miscellaneous things that we had in the world. But as I said, this is a custom hillside here. So we worked on this hillside and I developed this little walkway up here just so we could get to the windmill that I put atop there, which I think was pretty cool. But just to give you guys an idea of how big this little hillside is that we built, we'll head down this walkway, which leads to what would be our secret cave for all of our redstone goodies that we're going to build in the world. This was one of our finer terraforming projects over here. This entire hillside was, but this area in particular was pretty nice, I thought. Really nice and scenic. And then we head into the secret cave here, and you can see just how big it is in here. Pretty massive. Got some leftover chests here from collecting goods, wood, definitely a lot of wood, just a lot of miscellaneous things. Our chicken cooker was here, which is actually still functional. We used to come down here all the time for some free food when we're working in the area. Had another little to-do list right there, goals list, and this was our iron farm. Obviously, these don't work anymore in the current versions, but originally we had a bunch of villagers in these corners here, which actually moved over to the villager breeder there, which we'll check out in a second. But the iron golems would fall all the way down to pretty close to bedrock, I believe. I went down pretty far. As you can see, they did have to have an opening down here so they could see some of these other villagers that we had way down in this area here, which I've also broken out and used. And the killing chamber was down here at the very bottom. You can see we have some iron still left over. I spent a lot of time over here just AFKing and gathering a ton of iron resources for ourselves. Now the villager breeder came way after the 10 episodes in this area. I believe we started the villager breeder around episode 20, and I believe it's still functional. Still have baby villagers coming in and out of here every once in a while. Probably should shut this thing off if I'm being 100% honest. Let's actually do that right now because I don't really need any more villagers, and you'll see why here in just a second. So we built this because we wanted to build a trading hall because I actually died in one of the episodes in the end, lost all my tools, but I'll kind of show you where these guys go. They drop down a few levels here. So they drop down here, they keep going all the way down through here in the world, and they bunch up down here. Like you can see, we have a ton of villagers, and I'll probably have to kill a few of these guys before you guys have the world download just so it doesn't crash anybody's computer. But then I bring them up here, and they have their own little villager trading hall right over here that we started. Didn't finish, but it was definitely a little work in progress. I plan to have a little bit of a trader hall down here. There's going to be a building up here that was maybe like the town hall, which I could have dropped down into to trade with the villagers. And another one of our large terraforming projects, as you can see, was all the way out and about, all the way to the water. And this was going to be our next project in Kings Valley, because I did want to spend 10 episodes in every area before we moved to another spot, but that did not mean that we couldn't come back here and work on a few things if we needed to or wanted to. Now back to the windmill here. I believe this is actually one of the first tutorials on my channel in the How Do You Build That series. So if you guys want to check that out, you want to know how to build this thing, it is in that playlist. Quite a few other builds from this world. I mainly took builds from this world and showed you guys how to build them in the How Do You Build That series, because if I could build it in survival world, you can too. It was a pretty nice little windmill, actually my first windmill ever, so hopefully we'll build a lot more in the next series. But there's not really an interior again. We do have this nice little cart here. This is one of the first cart designs I ever came up with. Little storage shed here for the wheat farms around here, and we got a lot of little projects over here. I did plan to do some walkways coming down and through the forest and things like that. So we have water traveling all the way through here, a little log bridge which drops down into our nice little scenic area down here. Another thing we built over here next to the starter house was the barn. Barn was another one of our first projects in the area, and it came out pretty good if I do say so myself. We have a few of the animals named from one of our streams over on Twitch. We have Shirt the dog, Ray's Bay, shout out to Ray Lynn, and we also have Sean the sheep. But yeah, it's just a nice little barn that we built for this area. Got a couple of pens here, all stone pens with this kind of design for a gate. We just use trapdoor to trap them in here. Easy for myself to get in and out, and a little bit harder for the animals, being that their AI does not work so great with this design of a door, I guess, which is nice for us, bad for them. And the idea for these animal pens actually started because of the cows here. So you can see the sheep's little area here first, but the cows, I wanted to have them in a nice large pasture, and I planned to have a lot of trees in the area, a backdrop of a forest. As you can see, we did accomplish that, and I wanted a little pond and everything over here. But this was our first attempt at trying to make a field of animals and try to make it look good. The forest behind here, these trees are a little bit different from the first trees I talked about over there, because these trees, I had to do a little bit of a different design. I needed a blueprint, I needed a plan, an easy way to build a lot of trees that looked kind of decent for a forest that didn't take a whole lot of time to build. So these trees you can also find in a tutorial on the How to Build That series. I believe this is actually my most popular video, is these trees here. So if you guys want to build these trees, make sure to check out that playlist and find the How Do You Build a Spruce Tree. It shows all the different kinds, so like these little small ones, these medium ones, and these very, very tall ones in here, leading to a nice forest area. I like how we did the texturing on the ground. I still wanted to do a lot more in here, lots of mushrooms and things like that, and I was going to have pathways leading to other areas in the world. But you can kind of see the ideas that we had in this world. Some cliff faces over here. Tried to do a lot of terraforming that no one would probably ever see. Even I didn't see a whole lot of it because we didn't spend any time over here on this side of the hill. And another way you can see that is because we never finished this end of the terraforming. We kind of left it open just to let a lot of light in. But you can see I did torch up that area pretty well. But yeah, this was a really nice area that we built in. One last thing I want to show you guys before we leave this little area here is the other hidden cave that we have that leads to our nether portal. So down here we have a few fallen trees, a tree hiding this pathway down here, but this just leads into a nice little cave which leads all the way down in here to our nether portal, which is pretty nice. And that leads to just your basic nether hub. We didn't really do anything with the nether hub in this world. It was just kind of a quick way to get from point A to point B. Now I mentioned the mine shafts and the caves in this area from being down in our mine, and that leads us to over here, this nice little broken down dilapidated shack that we built, and the well over here. Now, the first thing we built was this shack. I love the shack. It came out pretty nice, and it looks great for what we wanted to accomplish. We wanted to make this look like the sides of the house had caved in, fallen over, whatever may have happened, and we want it to look really overgrown and broken down. I think we accomplished that. It looks really great. And the only thing it holds in here is the way down to our skeleton XP farm. So down here is a skeleton XP farm. We have a killing chamber over here. This little redstone dust just actually marks off where we can't stand anymore. So if I'm standing over here, the skeletons won't spawn, but if I'm standing anywhere over here in this little room, the skeletons will spawn in. And we do have a light to shut it off. You can kind of see the inside there. We did texture it and make it look kind of dungeony. Back here was where I had plans to do an automated sorting system for all the stuff that we gathered in the XP farm, but we just never got around to it. I did have a ton of materials in here, so there was never a need for any kind of sorting system after a while. I couldn't even go through all of the bones and the bone meal that we had, but it was just kind of a nice little XP farm to use right at the beginning of the series. And it's just your basic drop skeletons over in the kill chamber. It drops them over there. They go up about 22 blocks or so, and they drop down here to where we can kill them in one hit. And we just have some nice little hoppers down there to collect their materials. As we stumbled upon this, we also stumbled upon another really awesome thing in this world right next to us. So this well is actually the hidden entrance to our end portal room. We found this by total accident. We stumbled upon the fortress. It took me a little while to find the portal room, but we did find it. We did end up going in here and fighting the dragon, and maybe we'll check out the the end in a little bit. We do have an Ender build that we have in the end that was developed by GP, one of the other members of the AfterLife server. Again, links in the description for those guys. But I think that's about everything I have to show you guys for Kings Valley. There's not a whole lot more going on over here. Got quite a bit of work done in 10 episodes over here. At least I thought so for our first series. And then we moved on to Lycaeo's Castle. Now there are a few things over here before we get to Lycaeo's Castle that we'll see that I think are pretty cool. We did have plans to have a roadway going all the way from Lycaeo's Castle to Kings Valley, and we didn't finish it, but we got close. I think we got about halfway. But if we head over here, we had plans for a bridge, and I should probably drop down to give you guys the full immersion in this area. If we head over here, you can see we do have a nice guard tower over here, a watchtower in the kingdom. And this is kind of where our roadway stopped, but this does go all the way to Lycaeo's Castle. But let's check out this area first. So this is our guard tower, which is actually unnamed. If you guys have any suggestions for a name for this area, it'd be kind of cool, but for now it is unnamed. We have a few little campsites, like one here. And if we head up to the top here, there's another one in this little alcove here, which was actually kind of already here. I just kind of like broke it up a little bit more and developed it into a nice little campfire area, which I thought was pretty cool. Overlooks the pathway down there. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I love to build a good tower every now and then. And this is probably one of the cooler towers that we've built. I think I might want to do a tutorial on this one. It's pretty cool. It does have a square roof and this nice little balcony out here that you can walk upon, which makes it look pretty cool in my opinion. Again, there's not an interior for this one, so we won't be checking it out. So I think we'll just head on to Lycaeo's Castle. We were building up a few hillsides here. I've marked them off. We were decorating the area with mushrooms and bushes and all sorts of things, saplings, grass, ferns, some more plans for custom hillsides and stuff like that to make us walk around versus walking straight through. That was the idea for it. Off in the distance there is Lycaeo's Castle. And this is actually my very first castle and still the only completed castle that I've ever made. We have actually started our second castle build on our own because I do actually have technically 2 castles under my belt. Me and Go Number 4 built a castle, which I'll probably show on my Instagram a little bit later. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, make sure to do that if you want to see that amazing castle. It's absolutely beautiful. Me and him spent quite a few hours on that build, so I'll make sure to post that on Instagram for you guys to see. But this was home for quite a while. Absolutely love this build. We have a nice little bridge here that we built, which would have led off into another part of the kingdom. But I really do love this castle. I love the way it came out. A lot of stone, but I do think we made it look good. Again, a lot of custom terraforming. All this area right in here was not here. I wanted there to be a waterway going into the swamp area. Add a lot more custom trees, a lot of custom terraforming in this area. All right, so let's jump into this castle and take a closer look at it. So from the very front here, this is where we started off things. I had an idea for this main gate. I wanted 2 towers over on either side and then also a few towers on the main gatehouse. I didn't want to drop down gate because I knew this was pretty small, so I decided to do just a little bit of a heavy door. This right here is actually iron from Whip's texture pack back in the day. I don't know if he still uses this, but it's very, very cool texture. I really like it a lot. And if you pop in here, you can see it's pretty crowded. We have a few houses, a few homes. This one's not decorated at all. Neither is this 3-story tall one here, but it is pretty cool looking. I think the very first build that we did in this area was actually this storage room, which is pretty cool. Really unorganized, but also pretty cool. And then down here, there's actually some redstone, some of the only redstone in this world. We have a hidden door here. We press this button, and this will lead to our nether portal. So this is one of the nether portals that is in the hub and makes it easy access to the castle. The idea behind all these hidden nether portals was that we were the creator of the world, and we wanted to hide it from the inhabitants of the world. And it was a quick and easy way for a creator to get around without having teleportation. The next build area was this beautiful little blacksmith. This is where we got campfires. This is where we got lanterns. So we had a little bit of a rain is happening. So I turned the weather cycle to off, as well as we don't have a day and night cycle right now for the world tour. But we'd added some cool little decorations here, some ore, some iron ore. This would have looked a lot cooler with the raw iron that we have now and stuff like that. But we do have a blast furnace, a grindstone, nice little work table here, water barrel, an anvil, and of course the actual furnace for making some some tools. If you're wondering what these are actually note blocks. Bdubs had those in his texture pack, and there's a bunch of different colors, different versions of them, which I think really adds a lot to the world. The only thing I will show you about this house, it's a nice little small house, not a lot going on. There's a bedroom upstairs, but this was where the blacksmith would take a break from his long day blacksmithing and kind of tend to his little garden back here. Just one of the few small areas that we have in this area to make it look kind of nice and lived in. I believe the next area that I really worked on was the barracks. If we come over here, you can see this nice little archway, another little short tower here, but this is where the military men would have been. We have a little horse stable over here, some dummies for them to practice their sword skills and also their archery. This was our main storage in this area when we first started out, and there's still quite a bit of things over here. This is actually one of my custom textures. I forgot to mention over there, that cart that we built was actually dark oak trapdoors, and that was actually my design for dark oak trapdoors. Basically just took the spruce trapdoors and made it look a little bit darker because I didn't like how the dark oak looked like chocolate. But this was my rendition of the dark oak doors. I wanted to have a little bit of iron around here because a lot of the iron that we have in this texture pack is pretty dark, pretty black. I thought it'd be cool to have a dark oak door that looked kind of similar. Down here is actually where we have some cells to keep some prisoners. We have some cots down here for them to sleep on. There also is some dripping stones down here to make it look kind of wet and damp and kind of miserable down here, which I thought was kind of cool. There's room over here for some storage, and there's also a little bit of storage over here, and there is a staircase that leads up into the barracks. This was the staircase up to the barracks. If we head in here, again, there's not a whole lot going on. I actually want to close these doors though, because there is a special character in here that we want to meet. I did realize after building this thing that we could have probably put another floor up here. I just never did. Could have had a pretty easy access from the tower here, but I can hear him up here. This is Sir Oinks-a-Lot. This was the keeper of the barracks, the first knight in the realm. Kind of took care of things over here. We have a nice little kitchen, the actual sleeping quarters here with some chests, some tables, which these are actually scaffolding. I believe these were Jermsy Boys' first rendition of the scaffolding, and I still absolutely love it. Little closet here and a little bit of a balcony out here to kind of check out the area, have a good time when you're off duty. We also have another exit over here which leads to the exterior wall of the castle, so they could be gardening out here as well. And there was plans to have this walkway all around the wall, and I did accomplish it for the most part. I do believe it cuts off right about here. Yeah, right here is where it cut off, but everywhere else you can actually travel all along the walkways here, and it cuts off here again. But there would have been a way to get into this tower and onto this balcony here, and into this tower and onto this balcony here. And now we're kind of getting into the actual castle portion, but before we do that, I want to talk about the stables and the pub / inn that we built. So first off, the stables. This was a nice little stables. This was our first stables in the world, minus the little stable area that we had in our starter area. We actually have a bunch of horses that I found about 1,000 blocks that way, and we brought them back here. We had our very first horse that we loved. Never had a name for them, but they did die here while we were building the roadways over there. I don't know how they suffocated and died, but it happens. We lost a really good steed that day. But this was the stable master's house. There's just a nice little room up there for him. There was a bed and a few things up there, but I think they've since been moved to another area. We have a nice little camp area out here just for passerbyers that don't want to spend the night in the inn or hang out in the pub. They can hang out here, kind of relax and chill by the fire. So that was kind of cool. This little house is actually our netherwort farm right here. We pop in here. We needed a spot for netherwort in this area because you'll see why in a second, but this was the netherwort farm for the entire world. Didn't need a whole lot of it. I never really used a lot of potions, but I did use them for the dragon fight. So the inn / pub, this thing is pretty cool, pretty big. It was one of the first builds in the area besides the blacksmith, besides the barracks, and it's actually named Link's Drink and Sleep. Shout out to Unlinked Metal, one of my subscribers and one of my friends from playing Minecraft these past few years. We have nice little potted plants out here grating around the window so no one breaks it. A few little flower pots around here. You can see I try to add a lot of foliage in this area to make it look kind of green on the inside. I should have done a little bit more of that on the outside of the castle as well. And this is where we get a good look at the doors here. These are actually Pixel Brews oak doors. I really love this texture. It has a lot of the iron look that we like, and this is a really well done door, which inspired me to make the dark oak ones. They didn't turn out as well as this door, but you know, it was our first attempt. And these are actually the trapdoors I was talking about. So we have the dark oak trapdoors in here. Nice for you guys to see. This is the pub. We have some chairs here, some stools with the scaffolding on here, make for nice stools. We can sit up here. A few little seating areas down here. And this was our brewing area. We had a lot of our brewing materials down here. A lot of the ingredients, little furnace, little shelves in here as well. Nice little coat rack here as you pop over here to a little sleeping quarters. So if you wanted to spend a little bit less, didn't mind sleeping right next to the pub area. You could sleep right in there. There was another one of these over by the Kings Valley area in our starter house. These are actually beds, another Jermsy boy texture, but it makes it look like benches, which is kind of cool. And this is actually the entrance to the inn, so you can walk around, you can walk through the pub. A few rooms in here, empty right now. We could have added beds, but we just didn't. Got a nice little suite in here where I spent a few nights before. Another small room in here, and then an upstairs area here that we never decorated either, but definitely could have done some stuff up there. And now we're on to the castle. Spent a lot of time planning this castle in a creative world, at least the back end of it. This first section here we kind of just built. Same with this one, we kind of just built, but I'll take you through it as best I can. This is probably a build that's more suited to you guys exploring in a download versus me showing you in person, because it's pretty cramped, it's pretty crowded, and that's the way I wanted to make it feel. I wanted it to feel pretty tight, pretty claustrophobic, because I think that's how castles should be. So we have the nice offset towers here to make it look a little bit different than the main gatehouse. I think came out pretty good. A lot of foliage out front just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then we have the main gate, which just open the door here and you step through, and this is your view into the castle. We have a lot of rooms, a lot of doors, a little overpass here, doorways that lead into other areas. This leads into the main hall area where I think the king or the lord of the area would have addressed his people. Nice little balcony out here to kind of view the inner wall area. And there's no staircase up to here, but there is a way to get up here from another section of the castle through the tower. There's also another tower through here, and if we head back this way, this is one of the main gatehouse towers right here. There's a little balcony over here to walk on, and if we head out here, this is where the actual overpass is from the entrance, as you can see. And I'll walk you guys through an area that I spent a lot of time in, which was the storage area that we set up over here, just a temporary storage area. While I was building the castle, I had a whole bunch of materials in here that helped me build this place. All of this is unfinished. I did plan to come back here and finish it before the season ended, but I guess we'll start a new castle in the new world. Down here would have been like the servants' quarters, the servants' living quarters, and things like that. There are staircases up and down throughout here. There's one entrance over here, but we'll head up this one because I think this actually makes for a better entrance into the castle. So we head up this first flight of stairs. We have this little landing here. This area over here just leads to the tower. It goes up a few more floors, and through here is the other side of the balcony, as you can see from the entrance. We have a balcony over there, a balcony here, and I guess we could head up these stairs real quick just so I can show you that there is a pass through on these two towers here for the main entrance right there. But heading back down here in this main little landing area, we head this way. This would have been the feasting hall. I had plans to add some tables, some chairs. The Lord's table would have been over here, and this is just a nice detailed room to have your feast hall, I think. And we have a nice little balcony out here overlooking some of our terraform projects out back. Again, I could have put like a little town back here eventually, but like I said, we can do some more of this stuff in the new world. And now if we head upstairs even further, which is just back this way, we have another little landing up here, which is kind of cool. All stone up here. Nice little beams going throughout, some windows to let in some light, some windows up here on either side. This is where I stored some of the items that we got from our dragon fight. Few heads, goodie chests, and shulker boxes in here with all the stuff that we got from the end raid and the dragon fight. And if we head over this way, this is actually where the king's chamber is. There's a few little small balconies out here on either side. Keep heading up here. There's another balcony here overlooking the inner walls of the keep, as you can see. Pretty small little balcony, little window. And this is the king's chamber, or what would have been the king's chamber. A couple little windows, a nice little landing here, and then down here we would have had maybe some storage, some wardrobes, and a nice big old bed for the king to sleep in. Up here, there's not much. There's another small landing, and then a really poorly planned out little area up here. I'm not sure what I would have turned this into, but it is up here for any of you guys to check out. There's some extra space in there. But that's all the important rooms of the castle. Not a whole lot more to show you guys in this area. There is another little balcony out this way next to the feasting hall. Lots of these little terraces, little balconies, whatever you want to call them. There is one on the back end as well out here. But overall, this was a really fun build over the course of 10 episodes. Still plenty of work to be done in here, but you know, I think for the most part, it is a finished castle from the exterior, and I'm pretty happy with the build. So now that we visited King's Valley and Like Chaos Castle over here, let's head over to the last area that we were building in KingZee's Empire, which was the Desert Quarry. We'll head through our storage room into our secret little nether portal room down here and into the nether hub. Now, as I said, the nether hub isn't anything special. We do have some packed ice down here to help us move a little bit quicker running wise, and it worked really well in these areas. Over here, not so much. I kind of just flied through here because it just made it a little bit easier. I did waste a lot of rockets though flying through here because this is a very, very long tunnel. And now we're finally over here. This does keep going off to another portal where we just had like a little dig out spot for another desert. But the entrance here also hidden, sort of. We could have done a little bit better job over here of hiding this area. did plan to, but we had a lot of work done over here in 6 episodes. The most work we've done in an area, I think. So these little boats here, we built just to make it easier for me to cross this going in survival mode. I could just hopped over the boats and onto this little dock area. I do have tutorials for these 2 boats here, so if you guys want to check it out, there are some tutorials for these on the channel, the How Do You Build That series as well. So if you want to build them, go check them out there. This little building is actually the first building that we built over here. This was our little starter house, the building that kind of laid the foundation for how we wanted the buildings to look in this area. It's a nice small little simple house. We used the banners for the doors just to keep the dust out, and we use trap doors here to keep the zombies and stuff out as well, and also to be able to hang the banner on there nice and easy. Really small little house. We use it for storage mainly. We had a little bed back here to begin with, but we ended up moving our beds to the other areas over there. We did build a mine over here. I didn't end up using it too much though, as I was mainly building with sandstone. I did use it for a few resources like some extra iron, some coal, extra diamonds and stuff like that, but really nothing else. And the next build was this little storage room. This is where I started using a lot more detailing inside the storage rooms, a lot more details in the builds. We built up this little stone wall around here just to kind of keep it separate, being that this was going to be like the main area to begin with. We have these cranes here, which I do plan on doing a tutorial for these guys as well. There is this small one here. There is a extra large one over there, and then there's also another medium-sized one over there, which we'll check out in a little bit. But this storage room is pretty nice. Try to make it look a little bit beaten up, broken down. I think we accomplished that, and it still looks pretty nice, especially on the inside. Now this is the reason why I want to do some more interiors. The other storage room we had in like Kale's Castle was kind of detailed, but this is where I took it up a notch. So we have the 2 wide entrance here with the banners hanging down, and if we step in here, you can see there's a lot more detail going on in this storage room. We have shelves, we have walls of cupboards, we have more shelves with chests and barrels on them, some more shelves, another shelving unit over here, these nice note blocks that are looking like crates. We have a workstation over here with our ender chest inside there. You can see all of my stuff in here. I'm not really sure what we have in a lot of these anymore. Crafting table up top, our furnace area. We were pretty organized over here for the most part. We had some dyes, some fuel, some blocks we were going to turn into stone and stuff like that, and then some ores up here as well. And it's just a really nice little detail in this area. I really like this build. I still used it quite a lot in the series, and it was a really fun project. The next build we had in this world was actually the tower before anything else. But this tower, I wanted to set up a watchtower in this area. So like I said, I do like to build a good tower every now and then, and I had to put one in this desert kingdom and decide what the towers were going to look like. And I really love this design. A lot of detail, a lot of depth, and it was a lot of fun to build. Again, no interior in this thing, but there is a way to get all the way to the top with a ladder, and it's just a nice view of the entire desert quarry village. Now, after we finished up this little area and the tower, we got started on the big dig. I had plans to do a quarry here, and I had pretty big ambitions for it. I wanted to make sure we had a very large quarry over here, because the idea for this area was that it was digging out all the sandstone for an eventual city that was going to be over here, a desert city with lots of pyramids, lots of towers, lots of statues and things like that. And I wanted to make it look like we had some infrastructure in here to be able to make that happen. So I had a big dig. We dug it down in a few layers. I originally had a pillar in here, but decided to take it out, make it look like we had more of the sandstone being dug out. Put some ramps in here to make it easy to get through with some carts. We do have some small bridges around here that if I could go back, I would probably rework these guys to make them look a little bit better. Maybe do some stone bridges over the top just so we have an ability to carry a lot of weight. As you can see, we have some of these cranes hauling up and hoisting a lot of materials, a lot of supplies, or even a whole bunch of sandstone. And now you can get a good look at these large cranes here. Really awesome build. Still definitely want to do a tutorial on these, like I said. And this was the smallest of the crane. Really cool little idea and a whole lot of fun to build. And then we also have the medium-sized crane. I believe I only have one of these in this area. I did plan to do another one over there for a shipping port to ship off all the stone onto boats, but we do have this one over here kind of doing nothing right now, but you know, it looks good in this area, and it's a really nice build as well. Another one of the large cranes with some supplies on it. I really love the look of these things, especially in this area, especially with a huge dugout quarry. Down here is actually a slime chunk somewhere in this area, so we do get slime spawning in. I had a tip from Fwip to actually place in a bunch of slabs in here to stop the slimes from spawning, and I would have eventually got to that, but like I said, we are moving into season 2. But I did manage to add a bunch of little details around here. So this area kind of had a drop off on either side, but I did want to make it accessible all the way around. So we ended up putting this wooden scaffolding over here to make it easily accessible. I did a lot of detailing over here with the wood types just to make it look kind of like broken down and beat up from the sand. And I did add some foliage underneath there because there would be shade. We had some foliage over here, little itty bitty waterways going throughout here, trying to make it look like we had some life in this area. area. Some more plans for some palm trees, which I haven't talked about yet. This is probably another tree I'm going to add to the tutorial series. These are pretty nice palm trees in my opinion. They're not too hard to build. Actually, not hard at all to build. You can build them relatively fast, and you can make them pretty different. You can have one palm tree, you could have two next to each other, you can have three like we did over here, and there's a whole lot you can do with them to make an area look a little bit better. We mixed in some jungle leaves and also some oak leaves in there to make them look a little bit different in areas. And now we have this house here. This was the first building over here, just to kind of get an idea, a better idea of what we wanted to do over on this side. I detailed it out as best I could, made it look pretty nice, and this is the design we went with throughout the entire build area. And I think it looks pretty nice. We're adding some retaining walls around here, some pathways. You can see the pathway, we did a little bit something different. Same thing as we did over in Kings Valley, just adding as much detail into the pathways we could. We have another drop down with some retaining walls, some more builds around here, which look pretty cool. And we wanted a way for the workers to get up and down these areas, so I made sure to have pathways leading all around here. So we have plenty of pathways leading through here, another ramp down here to what would have been the elevator to get our stone quarry workers from the top all the way down to the bottom relatively quickly. And I still really like this elevator. It's kind of nice. Adds that extra bit of detail in this area, or like a little bland side of the area. There was nothing really going on over here, and I still wanted to add some more foliage and trees in here, like I said, but this was a pretty cool design. We have the hoist mechanism here, which these would have been ropes. It was my idea. And then I had plans to do some kind of pulley system down here, but I just never got around to it. I couldn't think of a good idea to have down there, so we stuck with this for now, and it looks pretty good. I'm not complaining. It's a nice little build. But we built up all these houses in about 2 episodes, I believe, and I want to say there's like more than 30 houses here. I can give you a count off really quickly. There's actually exactly 30 houses over here. Some of them are split up into like separate homes. Like a lot of the 2-story ones, there is a house on the bottom and then there's a house on the top that has stairs leading up to it. Like this one right here is a good example. We have an entrance down below here for whoever to be living in here, and then there's also an entrance to the top floor, kind of like little apartments basically. You can see we have a bed in here and a little balcony over here too. Kind of cool. This was another project. This was going to be our storage room for this area. In hindsight, it's probably not the best storage room to have, being that we mainly had barrels over here. It did hold quite a few items, but I think in future episodes, if we do anything storage room wise, we're going to have it completely separate from most of the builds. Like if we do a large storage room and we want it to be a part of the build, we'll have to incorporate it into the lore and the story of the world. But this did us all right for the desert quarry area for a little while, and we got a lot of work done because of it. Had plans to have like stuff like this over here. We're going to add some more foliage around the water areas. This would have been like a cool little step up area to what would have eventually been a cathedral up here. That was the next plans for this area, was having a nice cathedral. We built a lot of farmlands over here. You can tell the wheat looks really great in this area. I try to make it look like there was some wheat missing. There's probably a lot more wheat missing than it needs to be, but it looks cool from the sky. Kind of breaks up the pattern of just having a fully developed wheat field. It makes it look a little bit nicer in my opinion. I did have plans to add some of these grass over here to make it look like there was weeds in there. I just never got around to it, I guess. But also because I decided to do a different kind of crop. I wanted to do something different than the normal Minecraft crops, and I think the grass here, especially with Fwip's texture, I believe these are Fwip's texture of grass, tall grass. They look really great as like a crop to use. Obviously, we're never going to harvest it for anything, but it's a really cool idea. And we did have rows, so if you were standing in a certain angle, you can see all the rows throughout here, which is kind of cool. But otherwise, it just looks like a big crop field. We had another wheat field over here, and we were working on the walls and stuff like that around here as well, adding some foliage, adding some detail around here. We started the pond, didn't get it finished, but we did add some of the seagrass in there. I wanted to make this look a little bit more like the one over in Kings Valley, but I would have had to drop it down a little bit more if I wanted to do that. Some more palm trees in here, and then we also have some crops that didn't really work out so well. I was using these oak saplings as like a bush, and I probably should have just used a berry bush. I just didn't want the red in here, but after laying out all these saplings and placing all the string on top of them so they wouldn't grow, we did have a few that did grow in here that I had to get rid of, but I really don't like the look of this crop. It looks okay, but I definitely would have liked to have had a berry bush in here rather than this. And even now we have the azalea bushes. I think the azalea bushes would have been really nice over here, and that's definitely something we're going to be using for future crops. And then we have another little grass area over here, which is kind of nice. I did have plans to push the desert back. You can see I was building over here. This is also some custom terraforming. Not sure if I have, yeah, we didn't have many torches under here, but we were building all of this up, and I was planning on making it go back quite a ways and keep rising up until we got over here to the savanna. I was going to do like an arid mountain over here just to hide any of the grasslands in this area. I didn't want the grasslands to interfere with the immersion of this area, because it does kind of break your immersion when you're over here, but if you're looking this way, it looks really nice. But yeah, looking in here, looking at the world, seeing what we've done, it's really cool to look back in here, and it's getting me really inspired for season 2 of KingZee's Empire. But that about wraps up up the world tour, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the world that we built over the course of this series. I had a lot of fun in this world. I'm looking forward to having a whole lot more fun in season 2 in our 1.18 world. So if you're brand new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like this world tour and you like this video and you want to see more. Make sure to hit that notification bell. I still plan to do Afterlife videos for any of you guys wondering about that. That's not going anywhere. And then I also have a strictly stream world called Zee's Kingdom that is actually a community server. So if anybody from my community that wants to join that server, I'll leave a link down in the description to my Discord. And if you also want to follow me on Twitch, you can come talk to me live every Sunday, where I will be streaming from that world and possibly the new KingZee's Empire world as well. And I can tell you how to get on the server. But I think that brings this video to an end. Remember, if you're brand new or haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It really does help my channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. Remember to leave a like and comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think of the series as a whole. And I'll see you all next time in Season 2 of KingZee's Empire.